Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? Donna St. Louis here. And I'm out and about getting ready for the Sales Academy, which happens in just less than an hour. And there's my trusty companion and sidekick, Jackson. We're out here getting a quick walk in. He's been so good today that I had to get him out. Listen, if you read the title, I lost $8 million. $8 million gone. Blink of an eye. Um, This was early on in my career, and I want to share why losing that $8 million was probably one of the best things that happened to me. When I first started out, um, many years ago in business intelligence, and we were in running a business intelligence company, first time CEO, or I'm sorry, first time COO, first time, really being an entrepreneur, just really getting out there being an entrepreneur. um, One of the things that happened was my business partner and I were out and we were selling these deals. We were selling these solutions. And the challenge that we ran into is that he was not good at sales at all, and I was even worse. But he wasn't good talking to people. At least I could figure out how to have a conversation. It was not his specialty at all. He was quite the introvert, not really comfortable in front of crowds or audiences. Definitely would go deep into the geek hole, and he would geek out, and you could just see the faces of people glazing over. And so our first losses when we first started was a $2 million deal, a $3 million deal, another $3 million deal, and two $1 million deals. And so if you're keeping account, what is that? 3 million, 2 million, I'm sorry, 2 million. Yeah, yeah, I lost all those. That was $8 million. I was just making sure my math was on point. I lost all those deals. I did the pitch on all of them and I lost every one of those deals. And this is the reason I'm saying I lost those deals. I went in and I was following the exact step by step, everything that I had read in books and in emails, and everything I had learned about selling from every book I had ever read in regards to how to do sales. And I followed the pitch decks to perfection. I made everything sure everything was fine. And I started off with what they all start off with. Hey, let me tell you about who I am and my history. And just lost one after the other. I mean, I would watch people's eyes just glaze over. And I mean, I felt like a failure. I mean, I felt like a complete failure. And of course, my CEO, he didn't make it any better any worse. He was like, God, I can't believe how bad your leads suck. I was like, gee, thanks. Um, and then uh it's not Vogler, it's the other guy, and I just lost his name, Campbell. So I read this book about the hero's journey from Campbell. And the hero's journey has like 17 steps. But there were three things that really stood out to me about the hero's journey. The hero's journey had four really very specific things. You had your reluctant hero, you had your guide, you had your villain, basically, and you had the magical elixir. And so many times in those sales presentations, the salesperson was um, the salesperson was the hero. And I would go in there and I'd try to be this hero, and it just did not feel natural to me and who I was. So I decided on this next big presentation. Now, this presentation is going to be for $4 million, higher than anything else we've done. And with my track record, of course, we're going to lose it, right? So I go in there. First of all, I don't do what everybody else is doing, which is I'm supposed to be wearing a gray or black suit with a white shirt. I'm supposed to have at the time I had long blonde straight hair. Yeah. So my long blonde straight hair was supposed to be perfectly pressed and straightened and put in a bun. I'm supposed to be wearing the pearl earrings. I'm supposed to be having somewhat of a comb over. And I'm basically supposed to look like, as much as I can, a guy, right? Makeup very basic, don't do anything extra. This particular time, I showed up wearing a red dress with a red swing coat. My makeup was done. My hair was definitely not straightened or pressed or in a bun. It was down, it was curly, it was still blonde. And I remember having on metal jewelry, which was definitely not pearls. And the people who were there in the lobby are competitors who were pitching on that same day. Those competitors had on the gray or black suit, the white shirt, the tie that basically indicated whether they were Republican or Democrat. And I remember them looking at me as if Satan had walked into the lobby. And they laughed. They literally laughed like the whole time about this. I was 26. About what the hell did I think I was doing? They chuckled about my inexperience and how they were going to eat me alive. And I could hear them, we could hear them talking. Well, I got to tell you, the presentations happened. We were going to be the last ones. And we knew by being the last ones, the chances of us winning it weren't that good. Whoever went in before us, they were probably, and they were names. When I tell you they were names, they were names. They were consulting companies that could wipe the floor with us. And so I walk in, I watched them walk in and walk out. And the first guy they went in did their presentation. They had a half an hour. They went in, they did 15 minutes. We were early. The second crew went in, they came out right at their half an hour. The third crew went in, they came out, they went like 35 minutes. I was like, ooh, they must really like them. And then it was our turn. And I remember my CEO looking at me like wearing that red dress with this curly hair, this metal jewelry, like he was so disappointed in the fact that I was a woman. Like I could feel his disappointment just looking at me, right? I had already lost all these presentations, and now I have the nerve to show up looking like this and being a female. What was I gonna do next? Ask where the ladies' room was? Like, it was just not a pretty situation. Then on top of it, I had thrown out the pitch deck they gave us, and I went with this new pitch deck based on reading Campbell's book, The Hero's Journey, because he was very instrumental in what, um, Steven Spielberg did from Star Wars. Is that Steven Spielberg? Let's go with it. And so it was just I'm a Star Wars fan, so I was really, really into it. So I go and I switch up this entire pitch deck. It does not start with what's going on with us and who we are and our history and why we deserve to be there. It's none of that at all. It literally starts by talking about the company and the problem they have and why we're in the room in the first place. And so I walk into this presentation and I basically said, listen, I know that we are standing between you and getting home to your dinner and your family. So I could whip out this pitch deck and I could go through it, but you guys have already seen pitch deck. So I thought I would just start off a little different, and we'll probably be in and out of here in 10 minutes rather than a half an hour of going through a pitch deck. And I asked him, I'm like, is that okay? And the one guy kind of was like, yeah. And he gave me, it was like that, yeah, because you're not going to win it anyway. So you do what you got to do. You know what I mean? And I was like, cool. So I opened up the conversation by saying, so listen, you guys are about to sink $4 million into a business intelligence solution. Where when most people right now in the industry think that business intelligence is spying, but it's a decision support system. And you're about to sink $4 million into a decision support system of business intelligence. What's going on in your world right now in your industry? What's going on in your world right now in your industry that makes you believe that now is the right time for this solution? And I said, and I already know what you wrote in the thing, but in your request for proposals, but that wasn't included. So I'm really curious, why this? Why now? I remember the first gentleman who basically made it seem like we had no shot, starting to answer, and then one of the other gentlemen stopped him and said, "Well, wait a minute. That's not why we're doing this right now. This is why we're doing it right now." And then other people started chiming in and jumping on board with, "Why this? Why now?" The conversation lasted for 35 minutes. For 35 minutes. And all I did was facilitate the conversation. And here it was, 35 minutes in. I'm just like, when are they, this is supposed to be 5 minutes. I'm standing between them and their food. And then I went on to the next question. Well, let's talk a little bit about what you've already tried to do in regards to getting better business intelligence and having better decision support systems. I'm sure this isn't your first thing that you tried, right? And then they were like, "No, it's not the first thing we've tried. These are the other things that we've tried." And I said, "Well, why did those work? Why do you believe those didn't work? And what about them did work? What'd you love about them? What'd you hate about them?" Literally, we go on with this conversation for close to 90 minutes. 5-minute conversation, I was supposed to get 30. 90 minutes later, I walk out and they literally go, "It's one of the best conversations we've had about this. Absolutely love your solution. Really thoughtful questions." Literally got to the second slide on our pitch deck. We ended up getting $4 million in our account the next business day. But what I had to do was show up differently, right? I needed to show up and answer questions in a completely different fashion. I needed to not try to be what everyone else was. From that one company, while our first deal was $4 million, we did several other deals with them. And from there, my sales methodology was born. It wasn't about showing up and selling. It was about showing up and creating desire in the buyer, to let them know that if this is what they want, we had a new way of getting them there. It wasn't what they already tried. It wasn't what they already looked at. It was a way that we could actually help them reach their goals. But first, we had to have a real understanding of why their goals was important. And so the reason I share this with you is so many times I talk to people who are selling, they are making money, but they'll tell me, "Well, Donna, I don't have a sales framework. Um, I know I'm leaving money on the table. I know I can do better. I just haven't found anything out there that's really going to help me do better." Well, tonight at 6:15, if you're watching, you got 45 minutes. If you give me 90 minutes for the next 6 weeks, I'll show you exactly how to make sales, converting, increasing your conversions effortless. And what's great about this, 21 days of this is a competition and a challenge to make money. Who's going to literally put a challenge on so you can learn while you earn? We'll actually review your sales calls and help you close more deals. But it starts tonight at 6:15. Listen, I know what it feels like to know that you have something special and to recognize that you're a badass, but to also recognize that, God, if it doesn't feel like you're doing what the hell everybody else is doing, there's nothing worse than having a conversation where you know you can help someone and you couldn't close the deal. You couldn't create, here, let me say it in a different way. You couldn't create the same desire in them to succeed as you had in yourself to want to help them. You couldn't create that desire. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. It's not your fault if you're sitting here going, "Don, I've tried this stuff, it doesn't work." I get it, because it's not out there like that. Listen, I haven't written my sales book yet. That's the joke I tell people. You can't find it because I haven't written the sales book. But what I have done is put together an academy. So for 6 weeks, you give me 90 minutes. Listen, come with yourself. We're going to look at your offers. We're going to look at your audience. We're going to look at how much you're charging. We're going to make sure that you have the kind of offer in the audience that connects in a way that you would not believe. We do it all the time. I did it 3 times a day. Offering the audience were misaligned. Pricing wasn't exactly where it was supposed to be. All of a sudden, we created a proper niche. We created some blue ocean. People are going, oh my God, I get it. Messaging. I'm like, good. Now go get some leads, because the 3rd week of this academy, we're going to be selling. And you need to have some leads to sell to. So if you're interested, again, starts in 45 minutes. If you, 45 minutes or so. If you're saying, well, Donna, I'm not available every week at 6:15 on Thursday, great. We have recordings. Get the VIP, and get some private coaching sessions with me and Chanel. Let's go ahead and change the game. Let's make this first be the quarter that sets you up for the rest of the damn year. Let's go get it. Anyway, I got to take my puppy, who's running well ahead of me. I got to take him back to the house. Got to go get ready for the academy. I won't be wearing this, I don't think. Um, but come casual, doesn't really matter. But come on camera, be ready to go. This is a game changer. Hey, and if you're questioning whether this is right for you or not, drop a DM, drop me a line in the DMs. Hey, don't do it at 6:14. 6:14, I guarantee you I'm not going to answer you tonight. But drop me a DM, and I'll see if I can get you in the first night so you can at least see how it is. And then if you like it, come back for the rest of it. If not, no harm, no foul. You didn't pay anything. So jump in. Let's get going. It's time to make some money. Talk to you later.